Alright guys, welcome back. It is I, Fiend, and today we're doing What If Superman Was in Invincible Part 2. Let's not waste any time and let's go right into the recap. So where we last left off, Clark Kent moved to Chicago where he met Mark and Eve, and he had a little bit of inner turmoil determining on whether or not he wanted to actually be a hero or not. But in the end, he ended up becoming Superman and helping the team fight off the Flaxen army. And after him and Rex had some words, Superman smacked him through a building. We are going to continue on right from that point. Let's dive into it. Flying through the sky, Clark would feel shame creep into his stomach. Why did I do that? Ma and Pa would be disappointed in me. I have to do better, Clark thought to himself as he stopped flying and just looked over the entire city, just to take a deep breath in. Watching the sunset, it was peaceful and allowed for him just to take everything in and process it. Clark decided that he was going to go out on patrol. Flying through the sky, Clark would hear a woman calling for help. Immediately, Clark flew down, landing in front of the woman. Put the gun down. Nobody has to get hurt here, Superman said as the mugger, who was shaking in his nervousness, the mugger fired the gun, only for the bullet to drop to the floor crushed, and in an instant, Clark grabbed the mugger, taking him down. And once that was finished, Clark decided that he was going to check up on the victim, who was a girl named Amber, and he immediately recognized her as the girl that Mark was interested in. Are you okay, ma'am? Do you need to go to the hospital? Clark asked in a compassionate tone. Amber said that she was fine, that she was just on her way to go see her friend Mark. Superman just wished her a good night before flying off, and before the night was done, Superman had become a name that people were starting to remember, as Superman had stopped 5 robberies, 20 assaults, 10 B&Es, and an entire drug ring in a single night. Clark felt better after doing that, seeing how much of a difference he really could make in just one night. Clark would head home to get some sleep. The next day, Clark would get up, seeing Eve again, and would go to apologize for what he did to Rex. Eve would tell Clark that, at the moment, she was completely caught off guard, but said that Rex deserved it for what he said. Clark would disagree, saying that he had to hold himself accountable for his actions, and how he acted back there wasn't acceptable. And Eve was honestly surprised by Clark's own self-reflection, and noticed the difference between him and Rex. Clark wasn't full of himself, but instead was humble and had the ability to reflect on his actions to make amends for them going forward. The two enjoyed their chat until Mark joined in, looking at Clark and asking if he'd heard about Superman. Eve facepalmed herself, telling Mark that he was a complete idiot. What? How am I an idiot for asking if he's heard about Superman? Mark asked rather defensively. Clark would tell Mark to look more closely. As he took off his glasses and flashed his eyes red, Mark suddenly realized why he was an idiot. No way. You're Superman? Man, I'm really slow, but hey, that explains why Todd totally broke his hand when he punched you, Mark said enthusiastically. Eve would get a call telling both Mark and Clark to suit up. The Flaxen had invaded again. The three would suit up and head towards the battle, where they would see the rest of the team fighting, and Duplicate would be getting slaughtered, and Robot would be beaten down, as only Rex was the last one standing. Superman immediately flew down in front of Rex, shielding him from the barrage of blast. Invincible, Adam Eve, start evacuating the civilians. Lead them at least a few blocks away from here. Get Duplicate to help you. Robot, scan the invaders for any weaknesses they might have. And Rex, I need you to defend Adam, Eve, and Duplicate with Invincible. If any get past me, and I don't want to hear any arguing, if we don't work as a team, then there's going to be more casualties. Superman ordered as the smoke cleared. And before anybody had a chance to argue, Adam, Eve, and Invincible sprung into action, with Superman surprising everyone on just how well they work as a team. The others fell in line. Superman destroyed the tanks with its heat vision, taking out the Flaxen troops with ease, decimating the army. The commander ordered his troops to open fire on buildings that were housing the civilians, and Superman immediately broke off from his attack to save them. Meanwhile, Invincible, seeing this, would rush into battle helping Superman. This gave time for all the innocent people to be evacuated, allowing for an all-out assault, which Superman took advantage of by zeroing in on the commander and began to lay into him, sending him flying up into the atmosphere before then grabbing his leg, aiming him carefully and blasting him with his heat vision right into the ocean, and finishing off the commander with a punch to the stomach so powerful that it split the ocean in two. Superman looked back to see the commander was rapidly aging and then died of old age before the ocean came back flooding down and burying him in the ocean floor. Flying back, Superman said, "This battle is over. Your leader has fallen. Now, leave Earth and never come back." The Flaxons would all rush towards the portal back home. "You're just gonna let them run back and keep coming back? That's pathetic. Allow me to show you how to solve an alien invasion permanently," Omni-Man said as he tore through the Flaxon army. Superman would be shocked as he witnessed Omni-Man tearing through them, ripping them apart, and just straight out killing them as they attempted to retreat. "Enough!" Superman yelled as he punched Omni-Man, cratering him into the ground. "What the hell is wrong with you? They're surrendering and they aren't even fighting back anymore," Superman said, fueled with anger. "That's cute, Boy Scout. But you already tried that, and look what happened. They came back stronger. Your way doesn't work. My way does. And one more thing. If you ever punch me again, I will severely beat your ass," Omni-Man said as he sucker punched Superman, sending him through a building. Omni-Man then flew through the portal, making sure it closed behind him, saying, "Earth isn't yours to conquer," before destroying the entire planet. Meanwhile, Superman would be pissed, flying back only to see Omni-Man is gone and to hear Invincible call him Dad. "Omni-Man is your father?" Superman and Rex both said at the same time. Invincible would realize that he let the cat out of the bag and say, yeah, that Omni-Man was his father. Superman wouldn't really be shocked, as the most shocking thing would be the total difference in how the two acted when it came down to how they handled crime fighting. Superman, seeing Rex, walked up to him and apologized for slapping him through a wall. Rex would surprisingly accept the apology and offered one back to Superman, saying that he crossed a line that he shouldn't have. "In all honesty though, you might want to change up your costume in the future. But that aside, you have some serious balls punching Omni-Man like that," Rex said. "Yeah, weren't you afraid of him, or do you just have nerves of steel or something?" Duplicate asked. "Of course I was scared. Who wouldn't be? But I was more scared of what type of man would I be if I didn't at least try to do what was right, no matter the cost." Superman said, "Are you saying what my father did was wrong? Superman, he saved us and is facing who knows what in another dimension. He's a hero who's willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done and make sure we stay safe," Invincible said, getting right up in Superman's face. "They were done fighting. He slaughtered people who weren't fighting back. Invincible, you can't justify that. It's wrong. No matter who it is, once they surrender, it's over. Plain and simple. Once we begin to decide who lives and who dies, we're no better than those who we fight against. Also, do you think the world will idly sit by and let us do that? They won't. They'll take measures against us and begin to view us as a threat to the world. Then we fight against other heroes like the Guardians of the Globe, and that doesn't end well for anyone. Not us, and not the innocent lives in the cities that we are sworn to protect," Superman said, getting back into Invincible's face. Eve would get between them and break up the fight, telling Invincible that Superman's right and that he needed to calm down. Invincible started getting aggressive, yelling at Eve to stay out of this and pushing her aside. This caused Superman to tell Invincible that he didn't want to do this, and that he needs to calm down and think things through. "Oh yeah, like you did when you slapped Rex through a building when he talked about your mom. It's okay for you to lash out when your parents get trash-talked. You walking hypocrite. I bet your parents are really disappointed in you. What's the matter? Did your dad not show you enough love, or did he just run out on you?" Invincible said, and Superman just turned his back on him and attempted to fly off. Only Eve knew how much of a line he had just crossed. Before Superman could fly off, Invincible charged at him, but was surprised when he was hit by Adam Eve, seeing just how pissed off she was. "You really don't know when to shut up, do you, Invincible? You don't even care, because everything is always about you, huh? You don't even know how big of a line you just crossed, because everything has just to be picture perfect. Eve went on before Superman placed his hand on her shoulder, saying that was enough, and if Invincible really wanted a fight, then he'll fight him outside of the city limits. Invincible agreed, as now it was a matter of pride. Superman and Invincible flew out to an empty field that was far removed from anybody. The teen team followed, as they didn't want to miss this. Rex immediately started saying that he put his money on Superman. Duplicate said that she bets that Invincible takes it. Robot bet in Invincible's favor as well, while Eve refused to bet. She was feeling her heart rip into pieces. Superman didn't say anything. He just braced himself. Invincible moved first, putting all his strength into a powerful punch, sending Superman back just a little bit. However, he felt his fist fracture a bit after his punch, and this surprised him as he looked up to see Superman flying towards him. Superman landed a punch to Invincible's gut, which dropped him and caused him to puke a bit, saying, "Stay down. I don't want to hurt you." Invincible didn't listen, as he did a full combination against Superman, landing 6 blows, which destroyed the surrounding area, but as the dust cleared, Superman was just standing there, unfazed. Superman then, in an instant, uppercut Invincible, then flew up behind him and slammed him into the ground, but landed saying that the fight was over, and began to walk away. Invincible was bruised all over and had a busted lip which bled a bit. Rex was excited that he won the bet, but Eve, looking past everything, saw that Clark's heart was broken, and that Invincible had a look of shame on his face. Eve went over to Superman, asking if he was okay. "I will be, so don't worry about me," Superman replied as he flew off, hearing that somebody needed help. Eve then went over to Invincible and slapped him across the face, saying that was for hitting her. "Now follow me. I have something to show you," Eve said, and Invincible did without a single word. The rest of the teen team did as well, until they came to a field in Smallville, where they walked up to a tombstone on a hill with a tree over it, reading the name Jonathan Kent. This made Invincible sick to his stomach, saying that he didn't know. The rest of the teen team didn't understand until Eve told them that this was the grave of Superman's father. The full weight of what Invincible had said weighed on everybody there, and for once, Rex actually didn't have anything to say. Martha Kent, seeing the crowd, walked into the middle of them and asked if they were friends of Clark's as she placed flowers on her husband's grave. Eve would say something like that he had helped them out a lot. "Would you like to know more about him?" Martha asked. They would agree, and Martha would take them to her house, where she would tell them everything about Clark. Meanwhile, Superman was saving people from a fire and speeding around the city, saving people in need, and even helping old ladies cross the street. Once he was done, he decided it was time to put in some Clark Kent time and change into his normal clothes. He would head towards a diner, sitting down and looking over the menu. Clark ordered a cup of coffee and a slice of apple pie. Before long, Clark would notice an old man walking in. He was wearing a black suit, and Clark had a weird feeling about this. "Mind if I sit here?" the old man asked. "Not at all, sir," Clark answered, taking a sip of his coffee. The old man would sit down, introducing himself as Cecil Stedman, and that he happened to work with superheroes. "I know who you are, and I want to offer you a job working for us," Cecil said. Clark, who asked for his pie to go, along with his coffee. "Maybe we should go somewhere else, a bit more private to talk," Clark said, paying for his food and taking a walk with Cecil. "Look, kid, the world needs heroes, now more than ever. Over the years, we've maintained an equilibrium between peace and chaos, but that's about to change, unfortunately, and we need heroes we can count on to handle the growing threats," Cecil said as he lit up a cigarette. Clark would take a sip of his coffee, saying, "Look, I agree, the world needs heroes now more than ever, but I'm not sure that I need to sign up with you. I won't turn my back on the innocent people that I'm able to help every day. The ones that most heroes don't even waste a second thought on." Cecil smiled, telling Clark that he wouldn't have to. He'd just be on standby in case there was something that they needed his help on. And if he agreed, then they'd clear his mother's debt on everything and make sure she had everything she'd need to enjoy a peaceful life of retirement until she died. That's quite a lot for you to do. What exactly are you so afraid of that would cause you to offer this? Clark asked. You met him today. Omni-Man. He's a threat that scares the hell out of me. And his son may also prove to be a problem. If that happens, we'd be unable to stop them. You're the only one that stands a chance against them. And that's why I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get you on our side. Cecil said, making sure not to give too much else away. Do what you already offered, and I'm on board to help you. Clark said, knowing this is what his mother deserved. Cecil would say deal as Clark shook his hand. Days would pass and everything would be peaceful until the news announced the deaths are the Guardians of the Globe. Clark would be watching the funeral as he decided to go out on patrol, but everything was peaceful until Robot contacted Superman, asking him to try out for the new Guardians team. Superman turned him down immediately, saying that he wasn't interested, then flying off. And Robot was greatly saddened by this. Knowing everything about Superman now, he felt like maybe Superman could have found a family amongst the heroes of Earth. Superman hadn't talked to anyone since he and Invincible fought. Superman would get a call from Eve, and she would be crying, asking if she could talk to him. Superman told her she could, and told her his address. Flying over, Clark would get dressed in a blue t-shirt and some black pants, and cleaned up his apartment just in time as Eve knocked on his door. Clark opened it, and Eve immediately hugged him. Hey, Eve, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Clark asked. Eve told him about her catching Rex cheating on her, saying that he was the first person who came to her mind, and ever since they started working together, she'd been developing feelings for him, and maybe even before that. And Clark admitted that he felt the same way ever since they first interacted. Eve stayed to talk about stuff with Clark all night, and Clark offered her his bed while he slept on the couch. The next day, they both went out on patrol together, taking out criminals, and Superman showed Adam Eve his way of being a hero, and she actually really enjoyed it. She saw it as a way of helping people and really making a difference. You know, we make a pretty good team, so why don't we just make our own? Superman asked, and Eve liked the sound of it, as she'd always liked being part of a team, and she already knew Clark well enough. Plus, with her being part of its formation, she could control who joined and who didn't. Eve agreed and asked what they should call their team. How about we call it the Justice League? Superman suggested, and Eve accepted, saying that was a good name. Clark later got Cecil to approve and fund the team on the promise of more members eventually being allowed to join. Weeks would pass and Eve moved in with Clark and even began to date. The two would also have some serious traction going as the Justice League's popularity was growing and even rivaled that of the Guardians. Superman was everywhere and began to be called the symbol of hope for everyone, and that had a lot of people respect him. Clark never let it go to his head though, as he always visited his mother, who really liked Eve. At school, Mark apologized to Clark, and the two became friends again, but deep down, Clark felt guilty knowing one day he may have to fight Mark for the good of the planet. Eve would offer Mark a spot on the Justice League, but Mark turned it down, saying that he likes going solo and being a free agent. Everything was good until one day when Superman was out patrolling solo as Eve went to help Amber at the food kitchen. All was good until he heard something he never thought he'd hear, and that was Mark whispering, "Clark, help." A cold shiver went down his spine as he rushed where he heard the sound. Using his X-ray vision, he saw where Mark was and broke through the roof, seeing blood everywhere, and the Guardians almost completely destroyed. Superman saw red and immediately used his heat vision to take down the extra villains before turning his sights towards Battle Beast, who seemed shocked.
A Kryptonian. I thought they were all wiped out by the Viltrumites, and I've never seen one with your powers. Oh well, this should be fun. I'll savor this fight, as it might be the last time I ever fight such a Kryptonian.
Battle Beast said as he sized up Superman. Before he then lunged at him, Superman dodged and melted Battle Beast's weapons, before then going in and punching him through the wall and out of the building, before tackling him and sending him flying out of the city limits, where Battle Beast landed a knee into Superman's stomach, following it up by grabbing his cape and slamming him into the ground. Superman then grabbed Battle Beast's leg with all his might, threw him into the air, following it up by a barrage of punches which severely hurt Battle Beast, who was loving this battle. Battlebeast summoned his strength and brought his elbow down into Superman's back, causing him to let go. Superman then used his ice breath and froze Battlebeast, and followed it up by flying up and slamming his feet down into him. This fight was brutal, and Cecil stood there watching on the monitor as Superman went blow to blow against the Battle Beast, who effortlessly almost killed some of the strongest heroes he's ever known. Eventually, the news helicopters began to broadcast the fight across the entire nation. Martha saw her son fighting for his life. With each blow he took, the more he bled, but the same was true for Battle Beast. Eve was watching with horror on her face and prayed for Clark as tears ran down her face. At that time, she also received a call telling her what happened to Mark and how everything started. Eve would then tell Amber what happened to Mark and said that Clark was being escorted to the hospital as well. The two comforted each other as they watched on with the fight reaching its climax. Superman would dig down deep, unleashed a powerful combination by blasting Battle Beast into the air with his heat vision, burning Battle Beast's chest, followed up by punching him into orbit, and then tackling him back down towards the earth. The two burned up as Superman's costume tore and burned. More, he didn't care though. He was going to beat this monster, even if it killed him. This was his first true test as a hero. This was him truly putting his life on the line, and the only person Superman thought of was Eve, and making sure that this monster never got to her. The two cratered into the ground. Shockwaves rippled out so far and violently that they were felt into the city and beyond. The surrounding area was completely destroyed and covered in dust and smoke. The Guardians and the rest of the superhero community watched to see who exactly would be the last one standing, hoping it was Superman. The dust settled, and the only person standing was a beaten and battered Superman, who wasn't even fully conscious, but raised his hand as a signal that he won. Cecil ordered for Battle Beast to be brought in and locked up immediately, and to get Superman brought in for medical treatment. The news helicopters were told to leave the area. They complied, and after they were gone, Battle Beast woke up, badly injured, but told Superman that he was a true warrior and had earned his respect. He then flew off, leaving Earth. Superman also refused treatment, saying that he'll heal, and flew off, only to be caught by Eve, who helped him to the Fortress of Solitude, where the robots placed Superman into the regeneration pod to heal his injuries. Eve didn't leave his side, as both Clark and Mark recovered from fierce battles and a dreaded foreshadowing of what was to come. And that's where I'm going to be leaving this part off. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I hope this was worth the wait. And don't worry, you won't have to wait quite as long for the finale, which should be coming in about 2 weeks, as I'm going to try to make that happen. And remember, God is awesome. You guys are too. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Peace.